I'd like to welcome everyone joining our webinar on creating optimal work plans for pavement lifecycle management. My name is Nick Frank, and I'll be the moderator for this webinar. Brad, Jaron, and the Trimble team have put together an amazing presentation, and we're excited to dive into this valuable topic. But before we hand it off to our presenters, we do have a few housekeeping items to get to. Today's webinar should last about an hour. That will include the question and answer portion at the end of the presentation. All attendees will be on mute during the duration of the webinar. We have a lot of attendees want our presenters focused on delivering the best presentation possible. If you do have questions during the presentation, please submit them through the Q&A panel and not the chat box. You can submit questions during any portion of the webinar, and we'll address as many as we can during the Q&A. Today's webinar will be recorded, and the video and slides will be sent to all attendees within the next 3 to 5 days. And please stick around after the presentation to fill out a post-webinar survey. We're always looking for ways to improve our webinars and always welcome your feedback. All attendees will receive learning credits for participating in today's webinar. You'll receive 1 professional development hour and 0.1 continuing education unit. Now, I'm not going to read this entire slide, but we must disclose that certain statements made in this presentation and during the Q&A portion are forward-looking statements. These forward-looking statements are subject to change. Dates may change, and the actual results may differ from those that are shared today. So let's get to our presenters. Brad Johnson has been a product manager at Trimble for more than 8 years, managing solutions for pavement management and integrations, storerooms, fleet management, and CCTV. He has over 26 years of experience in logistics and distribution management, including fleet and yard maintenance. Brad is also a best practice implementer and is well-versed in the Trimble's Cityworks solutions. Jaron Farr has over 20 years of experience in product lifecycle management, project and program management, operations, development, business analysis, and quality assurance. Since 2018, he has been managing pavement solutions and customer implementations of AgileAssets products. Currently, he serves as the principal product manager for Trimble's pavement and structures management solutions. With that, I will hand it over to Brad and Jaron.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that, and appreciate the opportunity to be with everybody today, and also express my gratitude for your participating and taking time out of your day today. Going to go ahead and talk today about this idea of pavement lifecycle management. And a little overview, we'll be talking about this. And when we mean lifecycle, we mean everything from planning to building to maintaining. So this whole process and how that works. We'll talk about some of the challenges that we all face, some best practices, and then bring this together with this Trimble solution of Cityworks and Pavement Express to help you manage those workflows and all the tools that are available to you. This is a great slide because when you think about what it takes to run a city, a community, a county, whatever it might be, there's a lot that goes into it. And if managing a community wasn't hard enough to begin with, then let's start throwing things in like, how about OSHA, the EPA, pandemics, and then most recently hurricanes, tornadoes. I mean, the list goes on, and all of these things contribute to the complexity of dealing with what seems like just a simple pothole. The truth is, the vast majority of the work that you do is custom work. While we got work order flows, workflows, and standard operating procedures to help us do those things, every asset is unique. Now more than ever, you are dealing with a workforce that is mobile and decentralized. And what does it all boil down to? It all boils down to communication. And that communication is often the largest challenge and problem that an organization faces. From field crews to staffs, making sure tasks are completed on time and correctly. Trimble, through this solution, can help you solve the complexity of communication between teams and environmental requirements. One weak link in the chain can wreak havoc and make it impossible to respond to maybe a water main break that the roads collapsed from, or high winds and down power lines. Communication and that weak link can really challenge us. What I can tell you is that our environment is shifting rapidly and constantly changing. We all know that. We have to continually be vigilant in our communication and those processes. And we're going to help present to you today some ways to help do that. Talk a little bit more about communication and its impact. What's one of the major impacts of a breakdown of communication? That loss of productivity. Each phase of this life cycle, which I indicated, okay, becomes a step backward in productivity because information needed by new teams within the process is not readily available. In reality, data about the asset doesn't grow. It gets recreated in each phase, causing handoff challenges. And each team has to then spend time finding out when something was done, when their part of it starts. And then there's just a disconnect in this between the design to the build, the construction, and all of that. And many public leaders and agencies share that there are entirely different, these are entirely different departments, and they don't share information well. So how do we solve that? We solve that through when we build assets and we create a life cycle, starting with capital planning, moving to design, building it, moving it into operations and maintenance. We have a system, or in this case, some applications, Cityworks and Pavement Express, that can help public agencies know what's going on at all times throughout the entire project. And the handoff becomes easy. And the flow of information and data is readily accessible. It's right there, and that data grows, okay, and its value increases and helps us complete our jobs. So we're going to talk about this Trimble solution, Cityworks and AgileAssets Pavement Express. What's the importance of this? When you think about those infrastructure funds that we get, they are A, hard to come by, and B, oftentimes not quite adequate. When you think about, we've got over a $786 billion backlog in roads and bridges, construction and maintenance, that's significant. So when we do get funds, we want to be able to make the best decisions possible about what to do with them. One of the biggest assets, we talk about our assets and we're geocentric, right? One of the biggest assets we've got is our data and utilizing that data and making data-driven decisions, and not just the I thinks or run and find out, but actual good decisions and having that data. Pavement Express, Cityworks, those are data repositories where you can get all of that information. And what does that do for us? Saves on maintenance cost because we're focusing funds better where it should be used. That helps keep our sidewalks and roads in better repair. And obviously that makes life just better for all of us, safer and more sustainable. Challenges, yes, we all have challenges. And right from disasters to recovery, but challenges do present opportunities and the ability to look at what can I do to do things better. These two solutions today, we'll talk about Cityworks offering the work order management product portion of this, tracking expenses, your labor, equipment, your material, doing condition surveys and inspections, getting that data and information into a product like Pavement Express, who then can do those analysis, budget scenarios, work order planning, get that information back into Cityworks. And of course, all of this is done in that GIS-centric environment. Ask yourself some questions. Do you know what street segments you have? Pavement segments you have? Do you know what their attributes are? Do you know how many lanes they are? Can you quickly look up and see when it was constructed, when the work orders were done on it? Can you look at the history? When was it created? When was it crack sealing done or an overlay done on it? Do you have readily accessible access to that? Can you do analysis like what are the condition trends in my entire network, not just specific segments, but your entire network? What treatments do you have? What are the best treatments to be applying? How do we spend that money? Do I have a system that will help me generate that? Jaren's going to talk about that. And do I have the ability to do comparisons? What if? What if I do this now? What if I do this later? That's what we're talking about in true optimization and how these applications work together. So let's get in and see how these all work. This is a workflow slide that I created that shows how data can move between these applications. So I'm going to actually start on the right-hand side. So we're looking at contractor surveys. Many of you use contractors to go out every 3 to 5 years, maybe a little more often, maybe not so often, but you're using a contractor. They're going to go out with their vans, that really high-tech camera equipment. They're going to survey those streets. I've seen where those streets use that geo data and can show you where cracks are exactly on that road. So they're going to go out and survey that your streets for you. That data needs to be collected and analyzed. Pavement Express can accept and do the analysis on that, be able to create treatment types, budget plans, work order planning. And then once all that's done, we bring that back into Cityworks now so that we have the work orders there, those planned work orders. We have the inspections. We have the condition scores. We have updated GIS information with the condition dates, with any application dates, that PCI score. All that now is updated in Cityworks. Conversely, I can use Cityworks to do condition surveys as well, those inspections. Any work orders that I do in Cityworks, it's critical that those work orders also go back over into Pavement Express, because if we rehabilitated a road, that PCI score needs to get recreated. So let's go through this process, see how this works. Cityworks is your work order management software to do inspections, also service requests, permitting and licensing cases, and so forth. Again, we say this all the time. We are a GIS-centric organization, so we're using your Esri database and that GIS data. Asset management, okay? Being able to look and see where our assets are on a map, being able to see some features on those, okay? Be able to do work order planning, scheduling of resources. Planning, if I'm going to do this work in 6 months, I can put in what my equipment, labor, and cost are estimated at, and I can plan for that. Can set up projects so that I can set a budget, and as work orders are created, as inspections are created, the cost of those can get applied to that project, and I can track it very simply. Tracking all of those activities and watching those costs, that's what Cityworks does. So we're looking here at a dashboard, and you're going to see a couple of dashboards from both organizations as we go through this today. This is a work order management dashboard. So I'm looking at all of my work activity. Up here on the top left hand, I've got work orders for work to be done that are in the planning stages. Okay, they've been requested. In the middle panel, we've got work that's in progress, or the work orders are open. And then I've got work that's been done, because once that's done, we want that to come back in and be able to see all of that information. And then Q&A it by a supervisor or somebody that again can complete it, make sure that it's done correctly. Work order by crews. You can see some examples here. I've got crews that have work orders assigned to them. This could be individuals. So any way you want to set this up. I can see costs that are associated with the work orders that are being done, and I can set up timeframes for when I want to see that. I can do my inspections. I can do either a user-defined inspection like the one you're looking at here. It has some observations in here that are based off the Army Corps of Engineers that has been created in Cityworks. And a client can go out and simply use his tablet or collect this and enter it in on the computer, but use a tablet in the field and tap on these and do a condition survey, get a condition score, and be able to update their GIS. So we're going to take a look at standard condition surveys. This is an inspection that is already in Cityworks. This is out of the box. And I can create this inspection. This would be very similar to what your contractor would be doing on that workflow coming from the other side. So I have my general information over here on the left, my inspection ID, the work order it's associated with, the street segment, the exact street segment, and all of the details on that I can see on here. And then associate sample areas and then the distresses for each sample area. Again, this is an out-of-the-box inspection that's in Cityworks. It's designed to then, once completed and closed, go to Pavement Express to be able to generate that PCI score and get that information that Jaron's going to talk about and be able to do. So, as I indicated, I can be very mobile. So just to show you this, Cityworks mobile application, your work orders, inspections, your cases, your service requests, all of those can be done on the fly, in the field. I just simply take my tablet, my phone into the office or somewhere that I've got Wi-Fi at home, sync up for the day, and then I can go anywhere, whether I have a connection or not, and perform those things that are in my inbox to be performed during the day. I can also create new work orders or inspections on the fly from the tablet when I'm at an asset. So you can be very mobile. The end of the day or whenever you're back into Wi-Fi or your data connection reconnects, you can sync back up. So I want to take just a few minutes now and go through a video, a demo of how this all can work and then get pulled together. So as I have indicated, here is a dashboard that is part of Cityworks and looking at work order management, and specifically here at the work orders. This is the same one that I showed a little bit earlier, but we're gonna use it now. And these are my work orders that are active, and I'll be able to interact with these. I can open them. I can do anything I need to with them. But let's go ahead and create a new work order. So here are my street layers in my GIS. And I'm going to go ahead and select one of these streets off my map. There's several ways to get to this, but then I'm going to look at the details on this. Remember I asked, hey, how do you know all the attributes on this, on your street segments? Here they are. So I can open up the details on this and I can see everything that I have or need to see in here, including cost, pictures and things. I can go to summary details. I can go to work order details and see exactly what's been done. So as that handoff through the system goes down the line, anybody can get these attributes and see them. So I'm going to create a work order on this. And this work order is going to be that standard inspection that I talked about that can be exported into Pavement Express. So I'm going to set up my work order, going to assign it to somebody for the work to be done. Okay, Thomas is all set to do this, so I'm going to create that work order. Now, I'm going to create a related activity, that inspection, that will allow me to do those sample areas. Okay, so I can see in my work order, here's all my data. Here's where I can add that inspection. So now I'm going to go ahead and work with that segment of road that I got. And I'm going to go ahead and create my template for this. So I'm going to go ahead and create my pavement inspection. There we go. And here it is. And I showed this a little bit earlier, but here's all the details on that. Okay, the road, the square footage in it. And I can create sample areas. Okay, this is just what your contractor would do, or you can do in Cityworks and create that sample area and the distresses that you'll find within that sample area. And these are just standard Army Corps stuff that we're doing here. So I'm going to create a distress for sample area 1. We'll add some alligator cracking. It's low. I can use different severities. We got 500 feet. I'm going to add a couple more in here for this sample area. So I'm going to add some potholes. So potholes in Utah is something that we are very accustomed to. So we'll add some potholes in here, and then we'll add some block cracking, just so we've got some examples here of what you can do. Again, this is already set up out of the box with Cityworks. So now I've created this. I'm going to save it. Okay, I can review it and make sure everything is correct. If I got comments, I can add comments to this, to what is taking place. Okay, I'm going to go back to my work order now. I'm going to complete this, put in the dates that we started, the dates we finished. That's important because as you're doing planning in the future, you want to be able to go back and how long did it take to do this type of work? And I can do that now. So I'm going to save this. Everything's done. I'm going to hit close. Our work order is now closed. That will signify that when the next import to Pavement Express comes, it'll grab this work order and move that condition survey over there. Now, I indicated before that doing work orders in Cityworks is critical. Not an inspection, but the actual work being done. So I'm going to go ahead and create a work order on that section of road that we surveyed, and we're going to do a 2 mil overlay on it. So same thing. I'm going to create my get my work order created, and as you can see, these work orders are different. Work orders in Cityworks are template based, and so I selected a specific template for this. It'll have all kinds of criteria that you'll have set up in it, and it's ready to go. So now I go out, I do that overlay, I come back, I add my equipment, labor, material. I add the project that this was done to. And I'm going to actually do that on another work order here in a few minutes. But once that's all done, then I can close this work order out, and that can be pushed into Pavement Express. And because it is a major rehabilitation, it would reset that PCI score in Pavement Express as it gets calculated and then brought back into Cityworks. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn some time over now and stop presenting here and turn some time over to Jaron to show you some of Pavement Express.
Okay, thank you, Brad. We're really excited about this integration. Our goal with all of this is really to make your lives easier, make you good stewards of your network. And I'm going to just touch on the Pavement Express part of this integration. You heard Brad mention all the work planning that went in with that's involved with Cityworks and the inspections. Pavement Express is going to come in and together complete that full life cycle of pavement management. So what is Pavement Express? It's a fully capable pavement management system. It is tailored for locally managed pavement networks, cities, counties, and it's really the only solution on the market for that, for cities and counties, that has true optimization capabilities, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And also built in GIS. We have embedded GIS in Pavement Express, Esri maps, all that functionality, as well as viewing your network on a map. So I'll talk about that as well. Okay, I mentioned that it's a pavement management system, but what we mean by ready to use is it was and tailored for local networks was you can get up and running quickly. We've done a lot of work to enable the solution to be usable and valuable in the hands of you and your teams very quickly within a matter of days. No long sets of configuration sessions or anything like that. It's turnkey, out of the box, ready to go. And we've done that by implementing some very modern technologies with deployment containers and things like that. So a lot of work has gone into that, but The other areas in which we've made it tailored to local governments is that the analysis is streamlined. I'll talk more about analysis in a minute and how you can run scenarios. Importing data should be fairly painless with templates, and really streamline that to get all your data, whether it's from external sources or wherever it's coming from, into Pavement Express. And then there's a lot of predefined engineering definitions that I'll talk about as well. Decision trees, deterioration models, everything just to make this easier for you to get up and running. It's software as a service. So again, it's all about ease of use, reducing the need for IT. It's secure. We can deploy updates very easily. That's a little bit more. Let's get into the know your network. So what this is we've built this to be map centric. We want you to be able to understand, like Brad talked about on that slide, what are your segments, what are their attributes, what are their conditions, and do this all in a map. And we have these filters where you can kind of slice and dice your network. Let's say I only want to see segments in a certain jurisdiction or of a certain pavement type, or I want to see all my pavements that are resurfaced in the last 5 years or haven't had any work done on them in the last 10 years. Whatever those scenarios are, you can use filtering capability and really get to where you want to be and see what you want to see and have that information at your fingertips. And this data comes from Cityworks. So inventory can come in from Cityworks. And once we get that inventory data, we can calculate the PCI here in Pavement Express. And so it looks at all those, all the condition data that comes in, the distresses that are done from a survey or from a inspection, and it calculates PCI and shows those values. And then there's another area where we also update PCI. So Brad talked about work management and work orders. Pavement Express goes into Cityworks and pulls in all the completed work orders and updates the condition for those segments that were worked on. So that's a piece of that full life cycle that we're talking about. Let's talk about scenarios. So this is really the heart of Pavement Express and what we do better than anybody else. Setting up scenarios, comparing scenarios, multiple scenarios, and this is all designed to help you justify the funding you need based on data. Maximize your benefits of your network, maximize the condition of your network with limited funds. Know what your budget needs are. So you can set up a scenario and tell it, I want a condition to be, I want 70% of my network to be 60% PCI or greater, whatever it is you want. You run that scenario and it will tell you the budget needs to maintain that. You can run it for multiple years. You can have multiple constraints, like budget could be a constraint, PCI could be a constraint, in even multiple instances of those. And behind the scenes with these scenarios are these predefined engineering definitions that I mentioned earlier, with decision trees, deterioration models, and all of that stuff that can still be customized and configured for you if you'd like, but it comes out of the box ready to go to run these scenarios with those. So what's the result of these scenarios? It's your work plan, and this gets back to that full life cycle pavement management strategy that we've been talking about. And what Pavement Analyst brings to that picture is optimized work plans, smart work plans, work plans that'll help you move from a worst first strategy or a reactive strategy to a very proactive, strategic strategy for treating your network and using those valuable budget dollars that you have. So once you've run a scenario, it will come up with a work plan or a set of projects that it recommends you do, where they're done, what the treatment type is, when the work will be done, again, optimize that budget. And you can see that work plan on a map in Pavement Express. You can slice and dice that data as well. Let's say I want to see where all the slurry seal work that it's recommending is going to be done in my city. so I can go line up contractors for that and just quickly find that information. Or you want to see what work is planned for next year in a certain jurisdiction, you can go see that right here on the map. And that work plan, of course, is editable. You can make changes to it, customize it, do whatever you need to it, and then you finalize that work plan. It can be shared, but importantly for this discussion, it can convert into proposed work activities in Cityworks. So in Cityworks, with the work requests and work orders, they can be made right out of this work plan, because all this work plan information, all that intelligent recommendations of which projects to do come over as proposed work activities in Cityworks. And then lastly is the dashboards and reporting, another dashboard, but in Pavement Express, it's really configurable. Any report you want, you can put on your dashboard. Any report can be built. You see the condition of your network now, see what its trend has been, see what the trend is going to be in the future and how it will deteriorate, see the condition by road type or surface type, any type of reporting you need. And then our goal with this was to make it very shareable, and so that you can take that to other stakeholders, city council meetings, whoever needs to see that data. That's it for Pavement Express, and I'm going to turn it back over to Brad now.
Thanks, Jaron. Hey, let's just pull all of this back together now and look at these two workflows and how they integrate with work order management, planning and budgeting and analysis and all of that. If you'll remember my slide back at the beginning, this data workflow, that workflow can move through Cityworks, Pavement Express, and take advantage of your contractors to complete all of those workflows that we've discussed. I want to go ahead and take that idea that Jaron talked about, the work order planning, and bring that into Cityworks now. So this dashboard is my work order activity, but it also, this has been modified now to show street proposed work orders. So these are proposed activity. You can see here where it says staged instead of actual, it says proposed. So now I can use these in Cityworks to add or have the template set up to already add equipment, labor, and material and cost so that I can forecast. So let's see how we can, how that integration comes in and how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and blow this up here a little bit. So we're going to complete this process now. So here is my proposed activity, and I can view these. I can view all of them. I can select all of them. I'm just going to select one and open that work order up. Now, as you can see here, it says stage. So we're going to do the work on this. So now we're going to move it to actual, and I'm going to change the status on this to opened. And I'm going to set up some other criteria as well on this. So I'm going to update the date from when it was planned. I'm going to assign it to a project so that I can track the budgeting. I can report on that and get that information. Accounts allow me to just do additional filtering. I could add in my contractor. So I can add all of this information in here. And as that work gets done and that work gets completed, I can add my cost in here now. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. I'm going to do the streets division, grab a crew that was used. I don't have to use a crew. I can just put in an individual. But you can have crew-based information, so you can select. So I'm going to go through all of my crew members and put in time for them. Now I got more in here than actually did the work, so I could just delete them. Okay, but we did bring in somebody that's not part of the crew to help do a little work. So we're going to add Axel in here and put in a couple hours for him and add that. Same thing for my equipment. I can have template-based equipment in here, but if I need to add more, I can go in and select and add additional equipment. Same for my material. I can add material. I can use what's in here. I can add more whatever the scenario that you want to use is, I can add that. Now you can see my cost is here, and I can go to the cost summary page for this work order and see all of the costs and a summary of them. Now I can go ahead and save, close this. And again, that cycle will continue as this work order now is done on that. That can be sent back over to Pavement Express if it's going to update the PCI, but if nothing else, to make sure I've got my history. So now that we've looked at being able to import that work order from the planned activity and creating an actual activity, let's look at the condition surveys. So this is just a map showing the various condition levels of my pavement segments. And we looked at before how I could create that out-of-the-box standard inspection. And it would mimic what a contractor did and get exported into Pavement Express, or it could be done in Cityworks. Now we want to bring that back. If a contractor does do it, we want to bring it back into Cityworks so that we can have all of that PCI data, all of that condition date when it was done, and any other information that comes back into the GIS. And then you can have dashboards like this one where I can look at the different PCI score categories and my street segments that are in those, and lots of other things that you can do. So how do we do that? I'm going to go ahead and show you. So I'm going to take that inspection that was done and pushed into Pavement Express and is now back in Cityworks so that we have that one repository for that inspection data. So as we brought it back in, it will automatically fill in a lot of these areas, the project that it was part of, the other information. I can go and open that related. This has already been created. So remember, before I created it, now I'm just opening one that's already been done, and I can see the sample area, the distresses, and those things that came back in from Pavement Express. So that is the way I can manage this and be able to continue to see those inspections. Even though my contractor did them, I can have them in Cityworks. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of what we have looked at. When you think about it, roads shape the reputation of our cities. Have you ever thought about that? They do. I've been to cities that had just incredible pothole problems and asked my kids that were living in the city, I said, hey, holy cow. And they said, yeah, we are actually known as the pothole capital of the United States. I've been to another city to visit another Cityworks office up in Carmel, Indiana. And Carmel is known for its roundabouts. And it doesn't take long to drive through Carmel, Indiana and find out how many roundabouts there are. So roads do shape the reputations of our cities. There's an extreme cost to doing work. I can tell you that in the last survey, that a quarter mile of downtown urban environment to repave a street is north of $1 million for a quarter mile. So it is expensive. Those funds are precious. Okay. Technology is changing. Yes, it's helping us with the way we do maintenance, but being able to communicate and have that centralized data for your pavement management is really priceless. And each department, each area of the organization being able to just with a couple of clicks be able to see everything that anybody else has done and what the current status of on that is also priceless. Okay. All of this helps in that ease of doing business across the different departments. And that's what it's all about. And getting our roads maintained and getting them in good condition so that they're safe and that they work well for those that are using them. If you are interested in learning more and you're a Cityworks client, please contact your client success manager and they can help you get in touch with the right people. If you happen to not be a client yet, below here is the email to contact, info@agileassets.com. Trimble has come up with a great solution. through utilizing Cityworks for work order management, Pavement Express for pavement analysis and work order planning. Together, they create a great solution to help you manage and work through your streets. And again, we'd like to say thank you and take any questions. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Nick.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad and Jaron. We'll get to as many questions as we can here in the Q&A portion. Don't forget, these slides will be sent out in the next 3 to 5 days, along with this recorded video for all that were in attendance. Please stick around after the presentation to fill out a post-webinar survey. Always looking for ways to improve our webinars and welcome your feedback. And again, all attendees will be receiving a learning credit for participating in today's webinar. You will receive 1 professional development hour and 0.1 continuing education unit. Before we close out for the day, Jaron, Brad, anything else you'd want to add about our topic today?
No, I think we're good. I think it's very important, and would just encourage anybody that has any interest, please get a hold of us.
Once again, if you have any more questions, info@agileassets.com. Jaron, Brad, thank you for the presentation. Thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you back for another webinar at another time. Thanks, everybody.